wine was expensive. The woman across from him was beautiful and thoroughly unimpressed. And Kang Ji-hoon was exactly where he wanted to be, watching another blind date circle the drain. He had perfected the art of failure over 23 carefully sabotaged meetings, wearing cheap clothes and playing the part of a man going nowhere in life. His mother kept arranging these dinners with daughters of politicians and crime bosses, women who would strengthen alliances and maintain appearances. He kept showing up as someone no ambitious woman would ever choose. It was a system that worked perfectly until the night his date stormed out of a tiny diner in Itaewon, leaving him alone with a half-eaten meal and a waitress who saw right through him. Amali didn't know she was serving the most feared mafia boss in Seoul, and she didn't know his net worth had more zeros than most people could imagine. She just knew he was lying, and unlike everyone else in his life, she called him on it with a directness that stopped his heart. "You're not really broke, are you?" 3 months later, she still didn't know the truth. 3 months later, his 7-year-old son was calling her the Korean word for mother. And tonight, 3 months later, his face would be plastered across every newspaper in Seoul with his real identity exposed, and Ji-hoon would have to choose between the empire he inherited and the only woman who had ever made him feel like a person instead of a position. The woman sitting across from Kang Ji-hoon was beautiful, polished, and clearly disgusted. Her name was something he had already forgotten, maybe Yuna or Yuri. It didn't matter. She was the daughter of a prominent politician, someone his mother insisted would make a perfect wife for a man of his status. What his mother didn't know was that her son had no intention of letting this dinner end. Well, Ji-hoon scratched at the collar of his intentionally wrinkled shirt, the fabric cheap and slightly too tight. He had bought it from a street market specifically for occasions like this. The watch on his wrist was a $15 knockoff, the kind that ticked too loudly in quiet rooms. "So," the woman said, her smile tight, "my mother mentioned you run a business?" "Yeah," Ji-hoon said, slouching in his chair. "Electronics repair, mostly phones, sometimes laptops. Business is slow, though. You know how it is. Everyone just buys new stuff these days instead of fixing the old." Her eye twitched. "Oh, I see." "I've been thinking about expanding into refrigerator repair," he continued, warming to his performance. "There's good money in that, I think. Well, better money. Any money would be better money. At this point." The woman's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then at him, then at the menu with its expensive prices. "Actually, I just remembered I have an early meeting tomorrow. I should probably go." "Oh," Ji-hoon said, managing to sound disappointed. "But we just ordered." "You can eat it," she said, already standing. "I'm sure you'll appreciate not letting food go to waste." She was gone before the appetizers arrived. Ji-hoon waited exactly 3 minutes, then loosened his shoulders and allowed himself a small smile. Another disaster, another report back to his mother that her precious arranged dates weren't working out. But he flagged down the waiter and ordered a proper meal, one he actually wanted to eat. His phone buzzed, a message from his right-hand man, Dae-jung. "The shipment from Busan is delayed. Cops are sniffing around the harbor." Ji-hoon's fingers moved quickly across the screen. "Reroute through Incheon, use the third warehouse, and pay off Captain Shin. He's due for his monthly anyway." Another message. "Your mother is asking why another date failed. Tell her I was too honest about my financial prospects." She's going to set up another one. "I know." Ji-hoon paid for his meal in cash, leaving a generous tip that contradicted everything about his poor man costume. The restaurant was too bright, too full of people performing their own versions of success. He needed air, needed to think. His son Beom was at home with the nanny, probably already asleep. Ji-hoon had promised to read him a bedtime story, but had missed it again for this pointless dinner. He was a terrible father. He knew this. Beom was 7 years old and barely knew him beyond the cold interactions in their cold house. The boy's mother had died when he was 2, A car accident that wasn't really an accident, but a message from a rival organization. Ji-hoon had destroyed them for it, completely and without mercy. But it didn't bring her back. It didn't make him any better at being a parent. His phone rang. His mother. "Why do you keep doing this?" she demanded without preamble. "Park Yuna said you talked about refrigerator repair for 20 minutes. "It was 5 minutes at most," Ji-hoon said. "Do you want to die alone? Or do you want Baeom to grow up without a mother?" "He already is growing up without a mother. You know what I mean. He needs stability. You need a partner. Someone suitable." "Suitable for what? For the family business? For the organization? Or suitable for me?" His mother's voice went cold. "Those are the same thing, and you know it. You are the business. You are the organization. Stop pretending you can separate them." She hung up. Ji-hoon stood on the street, watching couples walk past, normal people with normal problems. He wondered what that felt like, to worry about things like rent and job security instead of territorial disputes and police raids. It was close to midnight when he found himself in Itaewon, far from the polished restaurants of Gangnam. The streets here were different, messier, more honest. Foreign food, and foreign faces, foreign languages, mixing with Korean in a way that felt less performed. He walked without direction until hunger pulled him toward a small diner with flickering neon that read, "Mama's Place," in English and Korean. The inside was nearly empty. An old man dozed in a corner booth, and a woman with dark skin and her hair pulled back in a bun was wiping down tables. She looked up when the door chimed. "Kitchen's still open if you're hungry," she said. Her Korean was accented but clear. This was Amale, though Ji-hoon didn't know her name yet. He slid into a booth and accepted the menu she offered. It was an odd mix, Korean standards, alongside something called bunny chow and boerewors. "What's good?" he asked. "Depends on what you want. Comfort or adventure?" "Comfort," he said. It's been a long day." "Kimchi jjigae," she said without hesitation. "I make it the way my Korean teacher taught me, but I add a little something extra. You'll either love it or hate it." "I'll risk it." She disappeared into the kitchen. Ji-hoon looked around the diner, taking in the mismatched chairs and the ancient radio playing old ballads. There was something peaceful about the shabbiness of it, the way nothing was trying to impress anyone. If you're enjoying this story so far, drop a comment and let me know what you think Ji-hoon's secret ingredient should be. I read every single one, and your ideas might just make it into the next part. Amale returned with a stone pot, still bubbling. The smell was familiar but different, something bright cutting through the usual funk of kimchi. "Careful, it's hot." He tasted it. The brightness was lemon, just a squeeze, cutting the heaviness in a way that shouldn't work, but did. "This is good. You sound surprised." "I am surprised. No offense." "None taken. Most people are surprised. They come in expecting either authentic Korean or authentic African, and I give them neither, and both." She leaned against the counter. "You look like you've had the kind of day that needs more than one bowl." "Is it that obvious? You walked in here like a man trying to escape something." "I know that walk. I've done that walk." Ji-hoon found himself smiling, a real one this time. "Bad blind date." "Ah," Amale said, understanding in her voice. "Let me guess. She wanted someone richer, or you wanted someone less interested in your money?" "The second one." "So you have money?" "Not really," Ji-hoon lied. "No, I repair electronics. She wanted someone more successful." "Her loss," Amale said simply. "Anyone who can't see past a job isn't worth the trouble anyway." They talked while he ate, easy conversation that didn't require performance. She told him she was from South Africa, from Durban, that she'd come to Seoul 3 years ago for a teaching position that evaporated on arrival. She stayed because going home empty-handed felt like failure. So she worked, saved, sent money to her siblings. "Do you regret it?" Ji-hoon asked. Staying. Some days, she admitted. Some days I miss home so much I can barely breathe. Miss my mom's cooking. Miss hearing Zulu without having to think about it. Miss being somewhere I don't have to explain myself. But other days, I love it here. Love the subway system. Love the safety of walking alone at night. So love the way the city never sleeps. Which kind of day is today? Today is a good day. Tips were decent, no one yelled at me, and now I'm having a nice conversation with a customer who appreciates good jjigae. Ji-hoon stayed until she started stacking chairs, a polite sign that closing time was approaching. He paid and added a tip that was generous, but not suspiciously so, calculated to be what a struggling repairman might leave after good service and better company. Come back, Amale said as he reached the door. If you need another escape from bad dates, I will, he promised. And he did. 3 days later, he showed up at 11 p.m. after Biom was asleep and the nanny was settled. Amale greeted him like an old friend. Another bad date? She asked. Worse than the last. She spent an hour showing me pictures of her ex-boyfriend and asking if I thought he was handsome. Amale laughed, bright and surprised. What did you say? I said he had a very symmetrical face. Diplomatic. I thought so. It became a pattern. Every few nights, Ji-hoon would appear at Mama's place during Amale's graveyard shift. Sometimes they talked, sometimes they sat in comfortable silence while she prepped for the morning rush and he answered emails on his phone, careful to keep the screen angled away. She thought he was checking repair orders. He was actually approving shipments and ordering his men to handle problems he couldn't discuss. 2 weeks into this routine, Amale slid into the booth across from him during her break. So, can I ask you something? Sure. Why do you keep going on these dates if you hate them? Ji-hoon considered his answer carefully. Family pressure. My mom wants me settled. She thinks it's bad for my son to grow up without a mother figure. You have a son? He pulled out his phone, showing her a picture of Beom. The boy was serious in the photo, not quite smiling, dressed in his school uniform. He's beautiful, Amale said softly. How old? 7? His name is Beom. Where's his mother? Dead. Car accident 5 years ago. I'm sorry. Me too. Ji-hoon looked at the photo. I'm not very good at the single-parent thing. He barely knows me. I work too much and come home too late. The nanny raises him more than I do. What kind of work keeps you out so late? Electronics repair? Security, Ji-hoon said, while pivoting smoothly. Night security for office buildings. The repair thing is more of a side business trying to build it up. Security pays the bills. It wasn't entirely a lie. He did provide security, just not the legal kind. That's hard, Amale said. My dad worked nights when I was little. I barely saw him either, but I still knew he loved me. How? Little things. He'd leave me notes, draw funny faces on my lunch napkins, bring me small things from his shifts, an interesting rock, a lost button, whatever. It wasn't about time, it was about thought. Ji-hoon absorbed this. He couldn't remember the last time he'd left Beom anything beyond money for school expenses. Does your son like anything specific? Amale asked. Sports? Games? Food? I don't know, Ji-hoon admitted. How terrible is that? I don't know what my own son likes. Not terrible, just honest. You can learn. The next night, Ji-hoon brought Beom with him to the diner. It was a risk, blurring the lines of his compartmentalized life. But the nanny had called in sick, and he had no backup. Beom sat quietly in the booth, exactly the way he sat everywhere, polite and distant. Amale approached with 2 menus and a smile. Who's this handsome young man? Beom looked at his father for permission to speak. Ji-hoon nodded. I'm Beom, the boy said quietly. It's very nice to meet you, Beom. I'm Amale. Are you hungry? Another glance at Ji-hoon. Another nod. Can you read Korean? Or do you want me to tell you what's good? I can read, Beom said. Excellent. Take your time, no rush. She walked away, giving them space. Ji-hoon watched his son study the menu with the seriousness he brought to everything. You can order anything you want, Ji-hoon said. Even the bokkeumbap with extra egg? Even that. Byam's eyes widened slightly, the most excitement Ji-hoon had seen from him in months. When Amale returned, the boy ordered clearly, adding a please and thank you without prompting. Good manners, Amale said approvingly. Your dad is teaching you well. Byam looked confused by this, but didn't correct her. Ji-hoon felt the compliment like a punch. He wasn't teaching Byam anything. The nanny was doing all of that. While they waited for food, Amale returned with a small bowl of sliced fruit and a coloring sheet with crayons. These are on the house. We keep them for kids, but honestly, we don't get many this late. You're a night owl like your dad. Huh? His babysitter is sick, Byam said seriously, so I had to come with him to work. Ah, well, I'm glad you did. It's nice to have company. When she left, Byam colored quietly, something easing in his small shoulders. The diner was warm and bright, nothing like their house with its high ceilings and echoing rooms. Ji-hoon watched his son and felt something crack in his chest. The food arrived, and Amale sat with them for a moment. Byam, do you like sweet things? The boy nodded. Next time you come, I'll make you kek sisters. They're from my country, South Africa. They're like donuts, but better, all sticky and sweet. What's South Africa like? Byam asked, the most words he'd volunteered all evening. It's beautiful, warm. We have beaches and mountains, animals everywhere, not just in zoos, but wild. Lions and elephants and zebras. Real zebras? Very real. I grew up seeing them. Byam's eyes were wide. Ji-hoon had never seen him this engaged, not even with the expensive toys that filled his playroom. Have you ever seen a lion? Byam asked. Once, on a safari with my school. It was sleeping under a tree, big as a car. We had to be very quiet so we didn't wake it. Were you scared? Terrified, Amale said honestly, but also amazed. Sometimes the best things are a little scary. They stayed for 2 hours. Byam asked question after question, and Amale answered everyone with patience and genuine interest. When Ji-hoon finally said they needed to go, Byam's face fell. Can we come back? The boy asked. If Amale doesn't mind. I never mind, she said. You're my favorite customers. In the car, Byam was quiet, but different, less hollow. Dad? Yes? I like her. Me too, Ji-hoon said. She's nice. Not like the lady's grandmother brings to the house. Ji-hoon's hands tightened on the steering wheel. His mother had been parading potential wives through their home without telling him, letting Byam meet them. What ladies? The ones who smile too much and ask me questions but don't listen to my answers. Grandmother says one of them will be my new mom, but I don't want that. Why not? Because they're not real. Amale is real. Out of the mouths of children, Ji-hoon thought, his 7-year-old son had identified in minutes what he'd been feeling for weeks. They started coming to the diner 3 times a week, then 4. Amale taught Byam to make simple dishes during her breaks, letting him stir pots and crack eggs. She gave him a beaded bracelet she said was for bravery, the colors bright against his small wrist. She never talked down to him, never dismissed his questions as childish. And Ji-hoon, watching them together, fell in love so quietly he didn't notice until he was already gone. One night, after Byam fell asleep in the booth, Amale sat across from Ji-hoon. He's a special kid. He is. You're good with him. I like him. He reminds me of my little brother, all serious and thoughtful. She paused. Can I say something that might be overstepping? Go ahead. You said you're not good at being a single parent, but I see the way he looks at you. He loves you. He's just waiting for you to let him in. I don't know how, Ji-hoon admitted. Everything I touch turns cold. It's like I forgot how to be warm. That's not true. Or you're warm with me. That's different. Why? Because with you, I can pretend to be someone else, Ji-hoon thought. Someone simple, someone good, someone who fixes phones instead of breaking bones. But he couldn't say that. I don't know, he said instead. Amale reached across the table, her hand stopping just short of his. You're scared. I get it. Losing someone like you lost his mom. It makes sense that you'd protect yourself. But Bayam needs you. The real you, not the careful version. What if the real me isn't what he needs? I've seen the real you, Amale said softly. You're exactly what he needs. Ji-hoon's phone buzzed insistently. A call from Dae-jung meant an emergency. He excused himself and stepped outside. We have a problem, Dae-jung said. The Park family is moving into our territory in Seongsu. They hit 2 of our businesses tonight. How bad? No casualties, but they left a message. They want a meeting. Set it up for tomorrow night. Neutral ground, the usual place. Ji-hoon glanced back into the diner where Bayam was still sleeping, and Amale was wiping tables. And Dae-jung, keep this quiet. I don't want any blowback on my personal life. Understood. Ji-hoon returned to find Amale trying to wake Bayam gently. The boy stirred, blinking in confusion. Time to go home, Ji-hoon said. In the car, Bayam was awake enough to ask, Dad, is Amale your girlfriend? No, we're friends. Do you want her to be your girlfriend? It's complicated. That's what adults say when the answer is yes, but they're scared. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. Oh, you just haven't been paying attention. The words should have stung, but they were said without malice, just fact. Ji-hoon reached over and squeezed his son's hand. You're right. I'm sorry. It's okay, Bayam said. You're paying attention now. That night, after putting Bayam to bed, Ji-hoon stood in his home office, surrounded by monitors, showing various business operations, both legal and otherwise. His logistics empire was vast, a complicated web of shipping routes and warehouses that moved everything from legitimate electronics to less legitimate goods. The mafia part of his operation had been built by his grandfather, expanded by his father, and now maintained by him with cold efficiency. He thought about Amale, about her simple honesty, her warm laugh, the way she saw Ji, the security guard, instead of Kang Ji-hoon, the untouchable boss. He thought about Bayam calling her real. For the first time in years, Ji-hoon wanted something beyond power and revenge. He wanted the warmth of that shabby diner, the easy conversation, the feeling of being seen as human. But he had no idea how to have that without destroying it with the truth of who he really was. His mother called again. I have someone perfect for you. Lee Sua. Her father runs the shipping union. It would be an excellent alliance. I'm not interested in alliances. Then what are you interested in? You can't raise Bayam alone forever. He needs stability. He has stability. He has nannies and an absent father. That's not the same thing. I'm working on it. Work faster. I'm setting up a dinner with the Lee family for next week. She hung up before he could refuse. Ji-hoon looked at his reflection in the dark window, seeing a stranger in expensive clothes standing in an expensive house, everything cold and perfect and utterly empty. The next morning, he did something reckless. He picked Bayam up from school himself instead of sending the driver. The teacher looked shocked to see him. Is everything all right? She asked. Fine. I just wanted to spend time with my son. Bayam emerged from the classroom and stopped short. Dad? Surprise. How do you feel about getting ice cream? They went to a small shop near the school. Nothing fancy, just simple soft serve. Bayam ate his chocolate cone with careful precision, making sure nothing dripped. You don't have to be so neat, Ji-hoon said. You're allowed to make a mess. Grandmother says messes are for common children. Your grandmother isn't here, and even if she was, a little mess is fine. Bayam considered this, then deliberately licked his cone in a way that got chocolate on his nose. He looked at Ji-hoon nervously, testing boundaries. Ji-hoon laughed. Perfect mess. Byam smiled, actually smiled, chocolate on his face and joy in his eyes. Ji-hoon took a picture with his phone, capturing the moment before it could disappear. "Can we see Amale today?" Byam asked. "She works the night shift, remember? But we can go tonight after dinner. Can we have dinner there instead? Every night this week if you want." Byam's smile grew. "I want that." So they went, night after night, until Mama's place started to feel more like home than their actual house. Amale never questioned it, just welcomed them with her easy warmth and her willingness to let Byam help in the kitchen. One night, she taught him to make kook-sisters as promised. The sweet dough twisted and fried until golden, then soaked in syrup. Byam was covered in flour and sugar, laughing in a way Ji-hoon had never heard. "You're a natural," Amale told him. "In South Africa, we'd have you working in a bakery already." "Really? Really? You have good hands, patient hands. That's important for cooking." She looked up and caught Ji-hoon watching from the doorway. Something passed between them, unspoken, but heavy with meaning. She looked away first, focusing back on Byam. Later, after Byam had crashed in their usual booth, Amala and Ji-hoon washed dishes side by side in the kitchen. "You're different lately," she said. "Or different how?" "Lighter, like you're carrying less weight." "Maybe I am. Is it the new security job?" Ji-hoon had forgotten his own lie. "Yeah, something like that. Better hours, better pay. I'm glad. You deserve good things." "So do you." She bumped his shoulder with hers. "Look at us. Two people who came from different worlds, washing dishes in a tiny diner at 2 a.m. My mother would die if she could see me now." Would she be disappointed? Probably. She wanted me to be a teacher, respectable and stable. Instead, I'm slinging food to insomniacs and whoever else wanders in. She smiled. "But I think I'm happy anyway. Happiness doesn't always look the way you expect." "No," Ji-hoon agreed quietly. "It doesn't." They stood there in the fluorescent light, soap suds and comfortable silence. And Ji-hoon thought about how easy it would be to lean over and kiss her, how natural it would feel. But he didn't, because she thought he was a struggling security guard who fixed phones on the side, not a mafia boss with blood on his hands and enemies who would use her as leverage in a heartbeat. The gap between who she thought he was and who he actually was felt impossible to cross. His phone buzzed. Dae-jung. "The meeting with the Park family is in an hour. You need to be there." "I'll be there," Ji-hoon said. He told Amala he had to leave for a security shift, promised to come back for Byam in a few hours. She assured him it was fine. She'd keep an eye on the boy. The meeting was in a warehouse in Seongsu, neutral territory. The Park family brought 8 men, and Ji-hoon brought 10. They negotiated like businessmen, on talking about territory and percentages and acceptable losses. In the end, they reached an agreement. The Parks would stay west of the river, Ji-hoon would stay east, and they'd split the profits from 3 contested areas. No blood, no violence, just cold calculation. This was how Ji-hoon preferred to operate, clean and efficient. Violence was messy and brought police attention. Better to negotiate, to find mutual benefit, to rule through intelligence rather than fear. But as he shook hands with Park Jin-woo, the rival boss smiled in a way that made Ji-hoon's instincts spike. "I hear you've been spending time in Taiwan," Park said casually. "Interesting choice for a man of your status." "I like the food," Ji-hoon said carefully. "Of course. That little diner, what's it called? Mama's Place? Charming." Park's smile sharpened. And the woman who runs it, very pretty. Foreign, right? South African?" Every muscle in Ji-hoon's body went tight. "Are you threatening me?" "Not at all. Just making conversation. But you know how it is in our business. The people we care about, they become vulnerable. It's important to keep them safe." It was a clear message. Park knew about Amale, which meant Ji-hoon had been sloppy, too comfortable, too distracted. He'd put her in danger just by existing near her. "Touch her and I'll destroy your entire family," Ji-hoon said quietly. "Like I said, not a threat. Just an observation." Park walked away, his men following. Dae-jung appeared at Ji-hoon's shoulder. "We have a problem." "I know." "What do you want to do?" Ji-hoon thought about Amale's smile, Byum's chocolate-covered face, the peace he'd found in that shabby diner. And then he thought about what his world did to peaceful things. It crushed them. "Double security on the diner, but keep it invisible. I don't want her to know. And find out how Park learned about her. Someone in our organization is talking. And if we find them, handle it." Ji-hoon returned to Mama's place 3 hours later to find Byum awake and helping Amale prep vegetables for the morning rush. "You're back," she said brightly. "How was work?" "Fine. Quiet night." Lies upon lies, building a wall between them that she couldn't see, but he felt every moment. "Byum's been telling me about his school," Amale continued. "Apparently, he's top of his class in math." "I am," Byum confirmed proudly. "That's wonderful," Ji-hoon said, realizing he hadn't known this. Bar hadn't thought to ask about school beyond checking that the tuition was paid. "He gets it from you, I bet," Amale said. "You seem like someone who's good with numbers." "Sure," Ji-hoon said vaguely. They left shortly after, Ji-hoon hyper-aware of the shadows in the street, the cars parked nearby, the potential threats he'd brought into Amale's orbit. In the car, Byum fell asleep immediately, exhausted from his late night. Ji-hoon drove home through Seoul's early morning streets, the city starting to wake up. He thought about Park's veiled threat, about the impossible situation he'd created. He should stop going to the diner. Should cut ties cleanly before things got worse, before his world swallowed up the one good thing he'd found. But when he looked at Byum, sleeping peacefully in the back seat, the beaded bracelet on his wrist, Ji-hoon knew he couldn't do it. His son was finally happy, finally opening up. How could he take that away? He'd just have to be more careful. Keep his worlds separate. Protect them both without them ever knowing the danger. It seemed possible in the quiet of the car with dawn breaking over the city. It seemed possible right up until it wasn't. The lie lasted for 3 more weeks before it started crumbling. Ji-hoon should have seen it coming. He'd gotten comfortable, sloppy in the way that men who think they control everything get sloppy. He'd started looking forward to those nights at the diner, more than he looked forward to anything else in his carefully constructed life. Byum had started smiling, actually smiling, and talking about his day without being prompted. The nanny reported that the boy was sleeping better, on eating better, drawing pictures that weren't just precise geometric shapes, but actual scenes. A woman with dark skin and a bright smile, a boy and a man holding hands. Everything was getting better, which meant everything was about to fall apart. It started small. Amale mentioned that a man had been sitting in a car across from the diner for 3 nights in a row. Just sitting, watching. Probably waiting for someone, Ji-hoon said, his blood going cold. "For 3 nights?" Amale raised an eyebrow. "Same car, same man. It's weird." "Did he bother you?" "No, just, observation. I notice things." Ji-hoon texted Dae-jung immediately. "The surveillance is too obvious. Pull them back. If we pull back, she's exposed. If she notices, she'll ask questions. Make them invisible or get rid of them." The next escalation came 2 days later. Amale's co-worker, a young Korean woman named Min-ji, started asking questions. She waited until Amale was in the kitchen before cornering Ji-hoon at his usual booth. "I know you," Min-ji said quietly. Ji-hoon's face remained neutral. "I come here often, so that makes sense." "No, I mean I know who you are. My boyfriend works in logistics and talks about his boss sometimes. Kang Ji-hoon, right? The CEO? You're mistaken. Am I? Because you look exactly like the photos in the business section. And that watch you wore last week, the one you switched out for that cheap one, I saw it. That was a Patek Philippe. Ji-hoon's mind raced. He could threaten her, could make her disappear, could do a dozen things that his position afforded him. But Amale would notice, would ask questions. "What do you want?" he asked instead. "Nothing. I don't want anything." Minji glanced toward the kitchen. "But Amale is my friend. If you're playing with her, if this is some rich guy slumming it for fun, I will make your life very difficult. It's not like that. Then what is it like? It's complicated. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have right now." Minji studied him for a long moment. "She talks about you, about how kind you are, how good you are with your son. She thinks you're struggling but noble, working hard to provide. If she finds out you've been lying this whole time, it will break her heart." "I know." "So tell her the truth." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because the truth comes with danger," Ji-hoon thought. "Because the Park family is watching. Because my enemies would use her against me. Because the moment she knows who I really am, she becomes a target. Because she'll look at me differently," he said instead, which was also true. Minji shook her head. "You're a coward. Rich or poor, powerful or not, you're still just a coward." She walked away as Amale emerged from the kitchen, carrying Beom's usual order. The boy had started coming to the diner straight from school, doing his homework in the corner booth until Ji-hoon arrived. "Everything okay?" Amale asked, noticing the tension. "Fine," Ji-hoon lied. "Just fine." But that night, he couldn't sleep. He stood in his office, looking at the monitor showing his various operations, the money flowing in from a dozen different sources. His legitimate logistics company was worth billions. His illegitimate operations were worth even more. He could buy anything, control anyone, and make problems disappear with a phone call. But he couldn't figure out how to keep one woman safe while keeping her close. His mother called at 2 a.m, which meant she was angry. "The Lee family is insulted," she said without preamble. "You missed dinner. You didn't even send an excuse." Ji-hoon had completely forgotten. The arranged meeting with the shipping union's daughter, the alliance his mother wanted. It had slipped his mind entirely. "I was working." "You're always working. That's not an excuse anymore." His mother's voice went sharp. "People are talking, Ji-hoon. They say you're distracted, sloppy. They say you've been spending time in Itaewon with some foreign woman and your son." "Who's saying this?" "Does it matter? Is it true?" Ji-hoon didn't answer. "This is about that waitress, isn't it? The one from the African country." His mother said it like an accusation. "You think I don't have eyes everywhere? You think I don't know what my own son is doing? Her name is Amale. She's from South Africa, and it's none of your business. Everything you do is my business. You are the head of this family, the head of this organization. You don't get to run around playing poor with some common woman. She's not common. She's a waitress. She's foreign. She has no connections, no family, no value to us at all. This is a distraction we cannot afford. Beom is happy for the first time since his mother died. That has value. Beom needs a proper mother from a proper family, not some woman who serves food to drunk foreigners at 3 a.m. Ji-hoon's grip on the phone tightened. "Be very careful what you say next." "Or what? You'll cut me off? I built this empire alongside your father. I've earned the right to speak my mind, and my mind says this woman is a problem. End it before it becomes a bigger problem." She hung up. Ji-hoon threw his phone across the room, watching it shatter against the wall. Immediately, he regretted it. Dae-jung would have to get him a new one, would ask questions, and would see the cracks forming. The next day, Ji-hoon went to the diner earlier than usual. Amale was surprised to see him during the dinner rush instead of late at night. "Don't you have work?" she asked. "I took the evening off. Thought maybe we could talk." "Sounds serious." "Maybe. Is there somewhere private?" She led him to the small office in the back, barely more than a closet with a desk and a filing cabinet. They sat close together in the cramped space, knees almost touching. "What's going on?" Amale asked. Ji-hoon had rehearsed this conversation a dozen times. He was going to tell her the truth, all of it, and let her decide if she could handle his world. But looking at her concerned face, her gentle eyes, he couldn't do it. "My mother is pressuring me to get married," he said instead, which was true, but not the whole truth. "She keeps setting up these meetings with women she thinks are suitable. The blind dates you keep sabotaging. Yeah. Why are you telling me this?" "Because," Ji-hoon took a breath. "Because I don't want to meet anyone else. Because every time I'm supposed to be at one of those dinners, all I think about is getting here instead. Because Bayom asks about you every single day. Because you make me feel like a person instead of a position." Amale was quiet for a moment. "Gee, I'm flattered, really. But we live in different worlds. Not that different. You're Korean, I'm South African. You have a son, I can barely take care of myself. You work all the time, I work all the time. When would we even see each other? We're seeing each other now. In a diner at weird hours because that's the only time either of us is free. That's not a relationship, that's ships passing in the night. It could be more. Could it?" Amale met his eyes. "Because I like you, I do. And I love Bayom. But I need to be realistic. Nah, I'm a waitress on a work visa that expires in 8 months. You're a security guard trying to build a business while raising a kid. Neither of us has the time or resources for complicated." "What if it didn't have to be complicated?" "Everything is complicated. That's life." Ji-hoon wanted to scream. He wanted to tell her that money wasn't a problem, that he could extend her visa with a single phone call, that he owned half of Seoul and could give her anything she wanted. But all of that required explaining who he really was, and once he did that, everything would change. "Just think about it," he said finally. "Please." "I will," Amale promised. "But G, you need to think about it too. Really think about what you're asking. Because I won't be a secret. I won't be someone you hide because your family doesn't approve. Now, I've been through that before, and I won't do it again." "What do you mean?" She sighed. "My ex, the reason I stayed in Korea even after the teaching job fell through. He was Korean, from a good family. We dated for 8 months, and the entire time he kept me separate from his life. I never met his friends, his family, or anybody. He said he was protecting me from their judgment, but really, he was protecting himself from their disapproval. When his parents started arranging his marriage to someone else, he didn't even fight it. Just let me go like I was nothing. I'm not him. Prove it." The words hung between them like a challenge. Ji-hoon had no idea how to prove anything without revealing everything. They were interrupted by Minji knocking on the office door. "Amale, we're slammed out here. Need you on the floor." "Coming." Amale stood, squeezing Ji-hoon's shoulder as she passed. "Stay for dinner?" "On the house." He stayed, sitting at the bar watching her work. She moved with efficient grace, balancing plates and conversations, laughing with customers, and diffusing drunk arguments before they could escalate. She was good at this, good with people in a way Ji-hoon had never been. He commanded through fear and respect, but she earned affection naturally, effortlessly. Bayom arrived an hour later, dropped off by the driver Ji-hoon had started using for school pickups. The boy's face lit up when he saw both his father and Amale. "You're here early," Bayom said, sliding onto the stool next to Ji-hoon. "Wanted to see you." "Really?" The surprise in his son's voice was like a knife. "Really? How was school?" "Good. We started a new math unit. It's easy. And in art, we're making masks. I'm making a lion mask because Amale told me about seeing lions." "That sounds great." They sat together, father and son, while Amale worked. Other customers smiled at them, probably assuming they were a normal family. A working dad and his kid waiting for mom to finish her shift. The assumption should have bothered Ji-hoon, but instead it felt comfortable. Around 8, a man in an expensive suit walked into the diner. Ji-hoon recognized him immediately, one of the Park family's lieutenants. His blood went cold. The man made a show of looking around, then sat at a table directly in Amale's section. When she came to take his order, he was all smiles. "What's good here?" he asked. "Depends what you like. We have Korean food, some African dishes, more American comfort food." "What do you recommend?" "The bibimbap is popular. I make the gochujang sauce myself." "Then I'll trust you. Bibimbap, please." He was polite, charming even. Amale had no idea she was serving a criminal, someone who'd killed people for looking at him wrong. Ji-hoon watched the interaction with mounting tension, his hand in his pocket gripping his phone. The man ate slowly, making conversation with Amale every time she passed. Nothing threatening, just friendly chat. But Ji-hoon knew it was a message. The Park family could reach her any time they wanted. When the man finally left, he paused at the door and looked directly at Ji-hoon, a small smile on his face. The message was clear. Ji-hoon waited until Amale was busy with another table, then stepped outside and called Daijung. "The Parks just sent someone to the diner." "I know. We have eyes on him. He left. No contact beyond ordering food." It was a message. Clearly. "What do you want to do?" "Set up a meeting with Park. Tonight. I'm ending this before it escalates." "That's risky." "Everything is risky. Set it up." Ji-hoon went back inside and told Amale he had to leave for work. She nodded, distracted by the dinner rush. Byom looked disappointed, but didn't argue when Ji-hoon said the driver would take him home. The meeting was in the same warehouse as before. Park Jin-woo was already there, looking amused. "Twice in 1 month," Park said. "People will think we're friends." "Stay away from the diner." "I don't know what you mean. One of my men was hungry, he stopped for food. Is that a crime?" "Don't play games. Oh, you're trying to intimidate me through her." "Her? Oh, you mean the pretty waitress? What's her name again, Amala?" Park smiled. "I'm not trying to intimidate anyone, but you seem very protective of her. That's interesting. This is your last warning." "Or what? You'll start a war over a woman you're not even officially dating? That seems excessive, even for you." Park leaned back against a crate. "Here's what I think. I think you're getting soft. I think you've found something you care about more than business, and that makes you weak. Weak leaders get replaced." "Are you threatening my position?" "I'm stating facts. Your own family is concerned. There's talk of a vote, a reorganization of leadership. You're distracted, making mistakes. The incident with the Lee family, forgetting meetings, pulling resources to protect some random woman. It's not a good look." Ji-hoon felt the ground shifting under him. "Who's talking about a vote? Does it matter? The point is, you're vulnerable, and vulnerable leaders make bad decisions." Park pushed off the crate. "Here's my advice, boss to boss. End this thing with the waitress. Marry someone appropriate, someone who strengthens your position instead of weakening it. Focus on business, or step down and let someone more focused take over." "I'm not stepping down." "Then make a choice. The woman or the organization. You can't have both." Park left with his men, leaving Ji-hoon standing in the empty warehouse. His phone rang. His mother. "We need to talk," she said, "about your future with this family." "Not now." "Yes, now. Come to the house. There are people here you need to face." Ji-hoon drove to his mother's estate in Pyeongchang-dong, the old family compound where he'd grown up. The house was full of people, all the senior members of the organization. His uncle, his father's oldest friend, 3 of the regional bosses. This was an ambush. His mother sat at the head of the table like a queen. "Sit." Ji-hoon remained standing. "What is this?" "An intervention," his uncle said. "We're concerned about your recent behavior." "My behavior is fine. You missed a crucial meeting with the Lee family. You've been spotted in Itaewon repeatedly. You're spending time with a foreign woman of no importance. These are not the actions of a focused leader." "My personal life is my own business." "Not when it affects the organization," his mother said coldly. "God, everything you do reflects on us." And right now, you're reflecting poorly. Because I'm spending time with someone who makes me happy. Because you're spending time with someone who makes you weak, she corrected. Happiness is a luxury we cannot afford. You know this. You've always known this. One of the regional bosses spoke up. There's been talk of leadership changes. Some feel that perhaps you need time to grieve your wife properly, to focus on your son. Perhaps a temporary step back. You want to remove me. We want you to refocus, his uncle said. Prove that you're still committed to this family, to this organization. Marry appropriately. Strengthen our alliances. Or yes, perhaps it's time for new leadership. Ji-hoon looked around the room at these people he'd known his entire life. People who'd sworn loyalty to his father, to him. Now they were turning on him because he dared to want something normal. I'll think about it, he said finally. Don't think too long, his mother warned. Time is not on your side. Ji-hoon left the estate and drove aimlessly through Seoul. It was past midnight. He should go home, check on Byum, make decisions. Instead, he found himself parking outside Mama's place. The diner was quiet, late night calm. Amale was wiping down tables. Minji was counting the register. They both looked up when he entered. Twice in one day, Amale said with a smile. I'm starting to think you like me. Can we talk? Something in his voice made her smile fade. Minji, can you finish closing? Sure. They went to the office again, the tiny cramped space that was starting to feel like the only place Ji-hoon could breathe. What happened? Amale asked. I need to tell you something, about who I really am. Okay. I'm not a security guard. That was a lie. I don't fix electronics either. Amale went very still. Then what do you do? This was it, the moment of truth. Ji-hoon opened his mouth to explain everything. The family business, the organization, the empire he controlled. His phone buzzed. A message from Dae-jung, a photo attached. It was from tomorrow's business section of the Seoul Economic Daily. A picture of Ji-hoon at a charity gala from 3 months ago, dressed in a tuxedo, shaking hands with the mayor. The headline read, Kang Ji-hoon, CEO of Kang Logistics, donates 500 million won to Children's Hospital. Below it, a smaller caption. One of Seoul's most eligible bachelors, Kang is rumored to be considering several marriage prospects from prominent families. Wait, Ji-hoon typed. Don't let that publish. Too late, Dae-jung replied. It's already printing. Hit stands at 6 a.m. Ji-hoon looked at Amale, at her patient, trusting face, and realized he was out of time. In less than 6 hours, his face would be on newsstands across Seoul. Someone would recognize him. Someone would tell her. And she'd learn the truth from strangers instead of from him. I'm not who you think I am, he said quietly. I gathered that. I'm not poor. I'm not struggling. I own a logistics company, one of the largest in Korea. I'm a CEO. I'm wealthy. And I've been lying to you since the day we met. Amale stared at him. Why? Because I'm tired of people only seeing my money and my position. Because every woman my mother introduces me to wants the lifestyle, not the person. Because when I'm with you, I get to be just G, just a father trying to do better for his son. I liked being that person. I liked how you saw me. So you lied. Yes. For weeks. Months. You let me feel sorry for you. Let me buy you coffee sometimes because I thought you were struggling. You let me think we were the same. Two people working hard to get by. Her voice was rising. I told you about my ex, about how he hid me from his life because I wasn't good enough for his family. And you were doing the same thing. It's not the same. Isn't it? You were hiding who you really are because you knew I wouldn't fit in your real life. I'm still just the waitress you're slumming with. That's not true. Then why not tell me sooner? Why wait until now? Because I was scared, Ji-hoon admitted. Scared you'd look at me differently. Scared you'd leave. Scared I'd lose the only good thing I've found in years. Amale stood up, the small office suddenly too cramped. I need you to leave. Let me explain. Explain what? That you're rich instead of poor? That you've been playing pretend while I've been real? There's nothing to explain, G. You lied. For months you lied to my face, and now that you're about to get caught, now you want to tell the truth. That's not why I'm telling you. Then why are you telling me tonight specifically? Ji-hoon couldn't answer, because she was right. If not for the article, if not for the pressure from his family and the parks, and he might have kept lying indefinitely. Please, he said, just give me a chance to make this right. I don't know if you can, Amale said, and there were tears in her eyes. I trusted you. I was starting to believe that maybe this could be something real. And now I find out it was all built on lies. Not all of it. My feelings for you, Bayom's love for you, that's all real. How am I supposed to know what's real anymore? Ji-hoon had no answer to that. He stood there, helpless, watching the best thing in his life slip away, because he'd been too much of a coward to be honest from the start. I should go, he said finally. Yeah, you should. He walked out of the office, past Minji, who was obviously listening, out into the Seoul night. His phone was ringing, messages piling up from Daejong, from his mother, from various members of the organization. He ignored all of them. At home, he checked on Byom. The boy was sleeping, the beaded bracelet on his wrist, a drawing of Amale pinned to his wall. Ji-hoon sat in his office and watched the sun come up over Seoul. At 6 a.m. exactly, his phone started exploding. The article had published photos of him at galas, at business meetings, stepping out of expensive cars. His net worth listed in billions. The speculation about his marriage prospects. By 7 a.m., it was trending online. By 8 a.m., it was everywhere. Someone, probably one of Amale's customers, would recognize him, would tell her, would show her the articles. She'd know not just that he'd lied about being poor, but about the scope of it. She'd see the life he actually lived, the world he actually inhabited, and she'd understand just how impossible they really were. His mother called. I hope you're satisfied. Your little secret is about to be very public. Did you leak this? Ji-hoon demanded. I didn't have to. You were careless. But now perhaps you'll see reason. The waitress will know the truth. She'll remove herself from the situation, and you can focus on what matters. She matters. Then fight for her. Make a choice, Ji-hoon. The organization or the woman. You cannot have both. She hung up. Ji-hoon looked at his phone, at the trending articles, at the life he'd built being exposed in real time. For the first time in his adult life, he had no idea what to do. The choice his mother had outlined was impossible. He couldn't leave the organization. It was his legacy, his responsibility, his identity. But he couldn't lose Amale either. Couldn't go back to the cold, empty life he'd been living before she showed him what warmth felt like. There had to be a third option, a way to keep both worlds, to protect her while keeping her close. But sitting there in his empty office as Seoul woke up to the news of who he really was, Ji-hoon couldn't see it. All he could see was Amale's face when she realized he'd been lying, the betrayal in her eyes, the hurt. He'd done that. Not the organization, not his mother, not the parks. Him. And he had no idea how to fix it. What would you do if you were Amale? Would you give him a second chance or walk away for good? Drop your thoughts below because Amale didn't sleep after Ji-hoon left. She sat in the diner's office staring at the wall, trying to make sense of everything. A security guard who was actually a CEO. A struggling single father who was actually one of the wealthiest men in Korea. Every conversation they'd had replayed in her mind. Every moment now tainted with the knowledge that he'd been pretending. She'd bought him coffee once because he'd complained about money being tight. She'd split her staff meal with him, thinking they were both barely getting by. She'd opened her heart, thinking they understood each other. All lies. Minji knocked softly on the office door. "You okay?" "No." "Want to talk about it?" "Not really." But Minji came in anyway, sitting on the desk because there was only one chair. "I knew." Amale looked up sharply. "What?" "I recognized him a few weeks ago. I told him if he was playing games with you, I'd make his life difficult." "And you didn't think to tell me?" "I thought he would tell you himself. I gave him the chance to do the right thing." Minji sighed. "For what it's worth, I don't think he was trying to hurt you. I think he's just an idiot." "That doesn't make it better." "I know." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Minji's phone buzzed. She looked at it, and her eyes went wide. "Oh no." "What?" "It's all over the internet. Pictures of him at some gala. Articles about his company. Someone posted asking if this is the same guy who comes here." Minji showed her the phone. There was Ji-hoon in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, shaking hands with politicians and celebrities. The caption read, "Kang Ji-hoon, CEO of Kang Logistics, worth an estimated $3.2 billion. Below it, someone had commented, "Wait, isn't this the guy who eats at that diner in Ida 1? The one who always wears cheap clothes?" More comments flooded in. Screenshots from security cameras, photos taken by other customers. Someone had recognized him weeks ago, but thought they were mistaken. Now everyone was connecting the dots, and then someone posted, "He's always with that black waitress and a kid. Is that his son? Is she his girlfriend?" The comments on that spiraled quickly. Some were supportive. Most were cruel. "Gold digger. She probably has no idea who he really is. A CEO slumming with the help. How romantic. Bet he'll dump her once he gets bored." Amale felt sick reading them. "Turn it off." "Amale, I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It's his." She stood up. "I need to go home. It's only 4 a.m. I don't care. I can't be here right now." She grabbed her bag and left through the back door, not wanting to face the front windows where anyone could see her. The walk to her Gosiwon took 20 minutes. The building was quiet, everyone sleeping. Her room was barely bigger than a closet, just space for a bed and a tiny desk, shared bathroom down the hall. This was her real life, cramped and small and honest. She sat on the bed and finally let herself cry. Not loud. She didn't want to wake the neighbors, but deep, silent sobs that shook her whole body. She'd been so stupid. Of course, a man like that wouldn't really be interested in someone like her. Of course, it was a game, a way for a rich man to feel better about himself by pretending to be normal. Her phone rang. Ji-hoon. She declined the call. He called again. She turned off her phone. The next morning, Amale woke up to pounding on her door. For a moment, she thought it might be Ji-hoon, but it was the building manager. "You have visitors," the woman said, annoyed. "They're blocking the hallway." Amale opened her door to find 3 women with cameras and microphones. Reporters. "Miss Dlamini, can you confirm your relationship with Kang Ji-hoon? How long have you been seeing each other? Is it true his family disapproves?" "I have nothing to say." Amale tried to close the door, but one woman stuck her foot in. "Just a few questions, please. Our readers want to know." I said no. Amale shoved the door harder. The woman yelped and pulled her foot back. Amale locked the door and leaned against it, heart pounding. This was her life now, where reporters and gossip and people picking apart her relationship with a man who'd been lying to her the entire time. She couldn't stay in Seoul. Not like this. Amale pulled out her phone and booked a bus ticket to Busan for tomorrow morning. She'd stay there for a while, maybe find work, maybe figure out what to do about her visa. Anything was better than staying here and being the punchline to someone else's joke. She texted her boss at the diner, a kind older woman who owned the place. "I'm sorry, but I need to quit. Effective immediately. I'll explain later." The response came quickly. "I saw the news. I understand. Your last paycheck will be ready whenever you want to pick it up." Then Amale made the mistake of turning on her phone's internet. Her social media was flooded with messages from strangers, some supportive, many hateful. Someone had found her Instagram and posted screenshots of her life, her pictures from home, everything. The comments ranged from curious to vicious. She's pretty for a black girl. Bet she trapped him on purpose. He's probably just using her. Rich men always do. Feel bad for her. She has no idea what she's gotten into. Amale deleted all her social media accounts and blocked every number she didn't recognize. Then she started packing. She didn't have much, 3 years in Seoul, and everything she owned fit into 2 suitcases. Tomorrow morning she'd leave and never look back. Her phone rang from a number she did recognize. Biam's school. Her stomach dropped. She answered. Mr. Lamini? This is Principal Choi from Biam's school. I'm calling because Biam has asked to speak with you. He's quite upset and refusing to go to class until he talks to you. I don't think that's appropriate. I'm not family. I understand, but he's very insistent. He says you're the only one who will tell him the truth. Please, just a brief call? Amale's heart cracked. Put him on. Shuffling sounds, then Biam's small voice. Amale? Hi, Biam. Everyone at school is saying things about my dad and you. They're saying mean things. Are you really dating my dad? It's complicated, sweetie. That's what adults always say when they don't want to tell the truth. His voice got smaller. Are you going to leave like everyone else? Biam, I'm not leaving because of you. You didn't do anything wrong. But you are leaving. She couldn't lie to him. Sorry, because of my dad. Because everything got too complicated. He lied to you, didn't he? About being rich. Biam sounded older than 7. I heard grandmother yelling at him. She said he was stupid for pretending to be poor. Your dad made choices I don't agree with, but that doesn't change how much I care about you. Then don't go, please. You're the only person who makes things feel good. Amale was crying again. I'm sorry, Biam. I have to. Everyone always leaves, he said, and the resignation in his voice destroyed her. My mom died, and now you're leaving. And soon Dad will probably leave too because nobody stays. Your dad loves you. He's not going anywhere. He's always gone. Work and meetings and business. He only started being around because of you. And now you're leaving, and he'll go back to being gone and I'll be alone again. Biam, that's not true. Yes, it is. He was crying now too. Please don't go. I'll be good, I promise. I'll do better in school. I'll be quieter. I'll be whatever you want, just please don't leave. Oh, sweetie, this has nothing to do with you being good. You're already perfect. Then why are you leaving? Because your father is a liar, Amale wanted to say. Because I can't trust him. Because his world is too big and complicated, and I don't fit in it. But she couldn't say any of that to a 7-year-old boy who'd already lost too much. Because sometimes grown-ups make things messy, and the only way to fix it is to step back. I don't want you to step back. I want you to stay and be my mom. The words hit like a physical blow. Biam, so I can't be your mom. Why not? You're nice, and you teach me things, and you laugh at my jokes, and you make Dad smile. That's what moms do. It's more complicated than that. There's that word again. Biam sniffled. I hate complicated. Me too, buddy. Me too. The principal got back on the phone. Thank you for talking to him. I think it helped. I don't think anything helps right now. Amale hung up, feeling worse than before. She'd known Biam was attached to her, but hearing him beg her to stay, offering to be better, as if any of this was his fault, it was too much. But what was the alternative? Stay in Seoul being harassed by reporters and gossiped about online, while trying to navigate a relationship with a man who'd built their entire foundation on lies? Son, stay and watch Biam get more attached only to be disappointed later when things inevitably fell apart. No. Leaving was the right choice, the only choice. That evening, there was a knock on her door. Amale looked through the peephole expecting more reporters. Instead, it was a woman in her 60s, elegant and cold, flanked by two men in suits. Amale opened the door. "Can I help you?" "I'm Kang Yeon-hee, Ji-hoon's mother. We need to talk." This should be interesting, Amale thought. "I have nothing to say to you." "Then listen. May I come in?" Every instinct told Amale to say no, but curiosity won. She stepped aside. The two men stayed in the hallway, while Ji-hoon's mother entered the tiny room. She looked around with barely concealed distaste. "So this is where you live?" "Yes, it's small, but it's mine. I'll be direct. I'm here to offer you money to leave my son alone." Amale actually laughed. "You're kidding." "I don't kid about family matters. Name your price. Whatever you think this relationship is worth, I'll double it. All you have to do is leave Seoul and never contact Ji-hoon or Biom again. I'm already leaving Seoul, and I don't want your money." That seemed to surprise her. Everyone wants money. Not everyone. Some of us have something called dignity. Dignity doesn't pay rent. No, but it lets me sleep at night. You should try it. Amale opened the door. "Leave. Now." "You don't understand what you're turning down. This is generosity. If you stay, if you keep pursuing my son, things will become very difficult for you. Your visa, your job prospects, your ability to exist in this country. Why, I have the power to make all of that disappear." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm explaining reality. My son has responsibilities, a position to maintain. You are a distraction he cannot afford. Leave willingly, and I ensure your departure is comfortable. Stay, and I make it unbearable." Amale felt rage building. "Your son lied to me for months. He made me believe he was someone he's not. And you're here threatening me like I'm the problem. You are the problem. You made him weak, distracted, and sloppy. Since meeting you, he's missed important meetings, ignored family obligations, and put a child's feelings above business necessity. That's not acceptable. Maybe your son is tired of being whatever you made him into. Maybe he wants to be a person instead of a position. Did you ever think of that? Wants are irrelevant. We are what we are. Ji-hoon is the head of this family, and he needs to act like it. Then let him make his own choices. He did. He chose to lie to you. That should tell you everything you need to know about where you actually stand in his life." The woman moved to the door. "You seem like a smart girl despite your circumstances. Be smart about this. Take the money. Start over somewhere else. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Get out. Think about my offer." I said get out. Ji-hoon's mother left with her guards. Amale slammed the door and locked it, her hands shaking. The audacity of that woman, coming here with threats and bribes like Amale, was some gold digger who could be bought off. Her phone rang again. Ji-hoon again. This time she answered. "Did you send your mother to threaten me?" "What? No. What happened?" "She just left my apartment. Offered me money to leave you alone. Said she'd make my life difficult if I stayed in Seoul." Ji-hoon cursed in Korean. "I didn't know she was going to do that. I'm sorry." "Stop apologizing and start being honest. Is she right? Am I just a distraction? A phase you're going through?" "No. You're the most real thing in my life." "I don't believe you. How can I believe anything you say when you've been lying since we met?" "I know. I know I destroyed your trust, and I don't know how to fix it. But please, just give me a chance to try. Let me see you. Let me explain everything." "There's nothing to explain, G. You're a rich CEO. I'm a waitress. You have responsibilities and a position to maintain. I'm just a foreign girl working a dead-end job. We were never going to work." "That's not true, isn't it? Your mother made it very clear that I don't fit in your world. And honestly, I don't want to. Your world has reporters harassing me and strangers commenting on my life and people threatening me. I don't want any of that." "Then we'll find a different way. I'll step back from some responsibilities. We'll keep things private." "You mean you'll keep hiding me? Keep me separate from your real life, just like my ex did, just like you've been doing all along?" That's not what I meant. Yes, it is. Because you can't actually have both, can you? You can't be a big, important CEO and date a nobody waitress. People will talk. Your family will disapprove. It'll hurt your precious position. I don't care about any of that. Yes, you do. If you didn't care, you would have told me the truth from the start. You would have introduced me to your family, taken me to those fancy events, made me part of your real life. But you didn't because some part of you knows I don't belong there. Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. What can I do? Tell me what to do to fix this. Nothing. There's nothing you can do. I'm leaving Seoul tomorrow morning. I'm going to Busan, maybe further. I need space to figure out my life without all this chaos. Don't go, please. Goodbye, Ji-hoon. She hung up before he could respond and turned off her phone again. That night, Amale barely slept. She kept thinking about Bayam's small voice begging her to stay, about Ji-hoon's desperate apologies, about his mother's cold threats. None of it made sense together. How could the same family produce a child as sweet as Bayam and a woman as cruel as his grandmother? Morning came too fast. Amale showered in the shared bathroom, got dressed, grabbed her 2 suitcases. The bus to Busan left at 9 from the terminal in Gangnam. She had 2 hours to get there. She took the subway, grateful that rush hour meant everyone was too focused on their own lives to recognize her. At the terminal, she bought a coffee and sat in the waiting area watching people come and go. Families traveling together, businessmen on their phones, students with backpacks. All of them with places to go and purposes she couldn't see. What was she doing? Running away solved nothing. She'd still have to deal with her visa, still need to find work, still carry the hurt of Ji-hoon's betrayal. Geography wouldn't change any of that. But staying meant facing everything head-on, meant potentially seeing Ji-hoon again, meant watching Bayam's hope die when things didn't work out. It was too much. Amale. She turned. Ji-hoon was walking toward her through the crowded terminal. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days, wearing jeans and a wrinkled shirt. And holding his hand was Bayam, the little boy clutching that beaded bracelet she'd given him. "How did you find me?" Amale asked. "Your boss at the diner told Minji you were going to Busan. There's only one bus terminal on this side of Seoul." Ji-hoon stopped a few feet away, like he was afraid to get closer. "Please don't get on that bus." "Ji, I told you I'm leaving." "I know. I heard you. But Bayam wanted to say goodbye properly." The little boy let go of his father's hand and walked over to Amale. His eyes were red from crying. "You promised you'd teach me to make more South African food," Bayam said quietly. "I know, sweetie. I'm sorry I can't keep that promise." "Is it because of me? Because I'm not good enough?" "No, Bayam. You're perfect. This has nothing to do with you." "Then why are you leaving?" Amale knelt down to his level. "Because your dad and I have some grown-up problems that we can't fix right now, and I need some space to think about things." "Can't you think about things here?" "It's complicated." Bayam's face crumpled. "I hate that word. Everyone keeps saying complicated, but nobody explains what it means. It means that sometimes people care about each other, but they can't be together because other things get in the way." "What things?" "Lies," Amale said, looking up at Ji-hoon. "And secrets. And people not being honest about who they really are." Ji-hoon stepped forward. "You're right. I lied. I wasn't honest. I pretended to be someone I'm not because I was afraid you wouldn't like the real me. I never got the chance to like the real you. You never showed me." "I'm showing you now." Ji-hoon's voice cracked. "I'm Kang Ji-hoon. I run a logistics empire that my grandfather built and my father expanded. I'm worth more money than I'll ever spend. I live in a house that feels like a museum. I attend galas and meetings and events where everyone wants something from me. I make decisions that affect thousands of people, and I hate almost all of it. Then why do it? Because it's my responsibility, my legacy. Because my family built this, and I can't just walk away." I'm not asking you to walk away. I'm asking you to be honest. I'm being honest now. The security guard thing, the struggling single dad act, all of it was fake. But my feelings for you, Biom's love for you, that was real. The only real thing in my entire life. Amali stood up. How am I supposed to believe that? How do I know you're not just saying what I want to hear? Ji-hoon pulled out his phone and made a call. Dae-jung, release the statement. All of it. No edits, no PR spin, exactly as I wrote it. And send the other documents to my lawyer. He hung up. In about 5 minutes, every news outlet in Seoul is going to get a press release. It says that I've been seeing someone I care about deeply, that she's a private person who deserves respect, and that anyone who harasses her will face legal action from my company's entire legal team. That doesn't fix the lying. I know, but it's a start. I'm not hiding you anymore. I'm not pretending you don't matter. Everyone in Seoul is about to know that you're important to me. Your family will hate that. Probably. My mother is already planning my funeral. Ji-hoon took a step closer. But here's the thing I realized last night. I've spent my entire life doing what's expected, being who I'm supposed to be, maintaining the position and the legacy. And I've been miserable. Then I met you, and for the first time I remembered what it felt like to be happy, to laugh, to want to come home because someone was waiting. I can't go back to that empty life, Amali. I won't. So what are you saying? I'm saying I choose you. The organization, my mother, the position, all of it can adapt or not. But I'm choosing you. Bayam tugged on Amali's sleeve. Please stay. I'll share all my toys with you, and I'll clean my room without being asked, and I'll eat all my vegetables, even the gross ones. Just please don't leave. Amali felt tears building. Bayam, you don't have to do any of that. Then what do I have to do? Nothing, sweetie. You don't have to do anything. Then why won't you stay? It was a good question. Why wouldn't she stay? Because Ji-hoon had lied. Yes, but he was telling the truth now, putting himself and his position at risk to be public about her. Because his family disapproved. So what? They disapprove of anyone who wasn't their choice. Because it was complicated? Everything worthwhile was complicated. Or was she leaving because staying meant taking a risk, meant trusting someone who'd broken her trust, meant potentially getting hurt again? I'm scared, Amali admitted. Of what? Ji-hoon asked. Of believing this is real and then finding out it's not. Of getting attached to you and Bayam and then losing you both. Of building a life here and having it fall apart. Those are all valid fears. So you understand why I need to go. I understand the fear, but I also think you're braver than that. Ji-hoon held out his hand. You moved to a foreign country alone. You stayed when your job fell through. You built a life from nothing. You stand up to drunk customers and demanding bosses, and now you're standing up to me. That's not someone who runs from fear. Maybe I'm tired of being brave. Then be scared with me. Be scared and stay anyway. We'll figure it out together. Amali looked at his outstretched hand, then at Boam's hopeful face, then at the bus schedule showing her escape route leaving in 15 minutes. She could get on that bus, start over in Busan, avoid the mess, protect herself from more hurt. It was the safe choice, the smart choice. Or she could take Ji-hoon's hand and risk everything for the possibility of something real. If I stay, Amali said slowly, things have to be different. No more lies, no more hiding. I meet your family, your friends, your business partners. All of it. I'm not going to be your secret. Done. And Bayam comes first, always. Whatever happens between us, we don't hurt that little boy. Agreed. And I keep working. I don't want your money. I don't want you taking care of me. I take care of myself. Okay. And if you lie to me again, even a small lie, even something you think doesn't matter, we're done. No second chances, no explanations. Done. I understand. Amali took a deep breath. Then I guess I'm staying. Bayam let out a whoop and threw himself at Amale, hugging her waist so tight she could barely breathe. "You're staying. You're really staying." "I'm staying," Amale confirmed, hugging him back. Ji-hoon stepped forward, his eyes bright with unshed tears. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to be hard. I know. But we'll figure it out. Together," Amale said. Together. They stood there in the bus terminal, an unlikely family, while announcements echoed around them and travelers rushed past. Amale's bus to Busan boarded and left without her, and she watched it go and felt something settle in her chest, a decision made, a path chosen. It wouldn't be easy. Ji-hoon's mother would fight this, his organization would disapprove, there would be gossip and complications, and moments where she questioned everything. But looking at Beom's joyful face and Ji-hoon's relieved smile, she thought maybe it would be worth it. "So what happens now?" she asked. "Now," Ji-hoon said, "I take you both out for breakfast. Somewhere nice where I can stop pretending I can't afford the menu. And after breakfast? After breakfast, we go back to my house, and I show you my real life. The good and the bad and the complicated. And then we figure out how to build something honest." "Okay," Amale said. "Let's start there." They left the terminal together, Beom between them holding both their hands. Outside, a black car was waiting, a driver standing beside it. The man opened the door when he saw them approaching. "This is Dae-jung," Ji-hoon said. "He's my right hand. Dae-jung, this is Amale. She's important." Dae-jung bowed slightly. "It's good to finally meet you properly, Miss Dillamini. I've heard a lot about you. All good things, I hope. The boss doesn't talk about people unless they're important. So, yes, good things." They drove to a restaurant in Cheongdam-dong, the kind of place where reservation lists were months long. But the staff greeted Ji-hoon by name and immediately showed them to a private room. Over-expensive food that tasted good, but not better than Mama's place. Ji-hoon told Amale everything. About his grandfather starting the logistics company as a front for moving illegal goods. About his father expanding into legitimate shipping while maintaining the criminal connections. About inheriting an empire at 28 when his father died. About being thrust into a world he'd been groomed for, but never wanted. "I could leave," he admitted. "Walk away. Let my uncle take over. But Beom would still inherit all of this when he comes of age, and I don't trust anyone else to keep him safe until then." "So you're stuck," Amale said. "I'm responsible. There's a difference." "Is there?" Ji-hoon smiled sadly. "I keep telling myself there is." Beom, full of food and exhausted from emotion, had fallen asleep on the cushioned bench. Ji-hoon carried him to the car while Amale followed. "You don't have to come to the house today if you're not ready," Ji-hoon said. "I can take you home. We can do this gradually." "No, if we're doing this, let's really do it. Show me your life." The house was in Pyeongchang-dong, behind gates and security cameras. It was massive, all clean lines and expensive materials, beautiful and cold. "It's very nice," Amale said diplomatically. "It's a museum. I hate it." Ji-hoon carried Beom upstairs to his room. Amale followed, curious. Beom's room was large, but impersonal, filled with expensive toys that looked barely touched, and shelves of books arranged by size rather than interest. The only personal touch was the drawing of Amale pinned to the wall. "He drew that after our third visit to the diner," Ji-hoon said quietly, laying Beom on his bed. "Told the nanny you were the most beautiful person he'd ever seen." Amale felt her heart squeeze. He's a special kid. He is, and he deserves better than this cold house and an absent father. "You're trying. That counts for something." They left Beom sleeping and went downstairs. Ji-hoon showed her the rest of the house, room after empty room, everything perfect, and nothing lived in. "Do you actually use any of these spaces?" Amale asked. "My office, Beom's room, sometimes the kitchen. The rest is just for show." They ended up in the kitchen, which was enormous and mostly unused. Amale opened the fridge and found it nearly empty except for staff meal prep and basic staples. You have a fridge the size of my entire apartment and nothing in it. I'm never here. And when I am, the cook prepares meals. That's sad. I know. Amale started pulling out ingredients. Do you have flour? Sugar? Oil? Probably. I don't actually know what we have. She explored the massive pantry and found everything she needed. Good. I'm going to teach you to make kuksisters. Now? Right now. If I'm going to be part of your life, we're bringing some warmth into this cold house, starting with the kitchen. So they cooked together in that enormous kitchen, getting flour everywhere and laughing when the oil splattered. Ji-hoon was terrible at cooking, all precision and no instinct. But he tried. They made a mess, and the kuksisters came out misshapen but edible. Baeom wandered downstairs an hour later, drawn by the smell of sugar. What are you making? Kuksisters, Amale said. Want to help with the next batch? The three of them worked together, and slowly that cold kitchen started to feel like a home. They were covered in syrup and flour when the front door opened, and Ji-hoon's mother walked in without knocking. She stopped short, seeing them all together, domestic and happy. Everything she'd tried to prevent. Ji-hoon, we need to talk. Not now, Mother. Yes, now. In private. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of Amale. His mother's eyes flashed. Fine. I'm calling a family meeting. Tonight. Everyone is concerned about your recent choices, and we need to address them. Let me guess. You want to vote me out of leadership. We want you to refocus, stop this nonsense, and remember who you are. I know exactly who I am. Ji-hoon put his arm around Amale's waist. And I know exactly what I want. You can accept it or not, that's your choice. But I'm done living my life for the organization's approval. You'll regret this? Maybe. But at least I'll regret my own choices instead of yours. His mother left in a fury. Baeom looked worried. Is grandmother going to make Amale leave? No, Ji-hoon said firmly. Nobody is making anyone leave. We're a family now, the three of us. And family sticks together. Promise? I promise. That night, Ji-hoon went to the family meeting alone, leaving Amale and Baeom at the house. He was gone for 3 hours. When he came back, his knuckles were bruised, and he looked exhausted. What happened? Amale asked. I made my position clear. I'm staying as head of the organization, but I'm making changes. More legitimate business, less criminal activity. A gradual transition to clean operations. And I'm doing it with you by my side, publicly, regardless of their approval. How did they take it? About as well as expected. My uncle tried to challenge me for leadership. We settled it the old way. What's the old way? Ji-hoon flexed his bruised hand. The physical way. I won. So my position is secure for now. But I've made enemies within the family. Was it worth it? Ji-hoon looked at her standing in his kitchen, at Baeom doing homework at the table, at the mess they'd made together. Yes. Absolutely yes. Before you find out what happens at the wedding, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you won't want to miss what comes next in this journey. 3 months passed. Ji-hoon kept his promise, going public with their relationship, despite the gossip and his family's disapproval. He introduced Amale to his business partners, and brought her to events, and made it clear she was a permanent part of his life. It wasn't easy. Reporters followed them everywhere at first. Ji-hoon's mother refused to acknowledge Amale's existence. Some business partners withdrew their support. But Ji-hoon held firm, and gradually things settled into a new normal. Amale went back to work at Mama's place, despite Ji-hoon's protests. She liked working, liked the independence. But Ji-hoon did something unexpected. He bought the building where the diner was located, renovated the upper floors into a proper apartment, and gave Amale a stake in the business. This way you're not just working for someone else, he explained. You're building something that's yours. Our, Amale corrected. Something that's ours. 6 months after the bus terminal, Ji-hoon proposed, and not with an expensive ring at a fancy restaurant, but in the diner's kitchen at 2 a.m., covered in flour from making Baeom's birthday cake. Marry me, he said simply. Not because it makes sense for business or family, but because I can't imagine my life without you in it. That's the worst proposal ever, Amale said, laughing and crying. Yes. Obviously, yes. The wedding was a year later, a scandal that delighted gossip columns and horrified Ji-hoon's family. They held it at a hotel in Itaewon, blending Korean traditions with South African culture. Amale wore a hanbok for the ceremony, then changed into a traditional Zulu dress for the reception. Ji-hoon's mother didn't attend. His uncle made an appearance but left early. Most of the organization stayed away, making their disapproval clear. But the diner regulars came. Minji was the maid of honor. Baeom was the ring bearer, so proud in his little suit. Amale's family flew in from South Africa, her mother crying through the entire ceremony. And Daejong stood as Ji-hoon's best man, the only one from the organization who'd fully supported them from the start. During the reception, while traditional Korean drums mixed with South African music, Ji-hoon pulled Amale aside. Any regrets? He asked. About marrying a mafia boss who lied to me for months? Amale pretended to think about it. No regrets. Even though my family hates you and half of Seoul thinks you're a gold digger. Even though. I didn't marry your family or Seoul. I married you. The real you, criminal empire and all. I love you. I love you too. Even when you're being an idiot. Especially when I'm being an idiot. They danced together while Baeom ran around with Amale's young cousins, finally acting like the 7-year-old he was instead of the serious little adult he'd been forced to become. Later, after the reception, the three of them went back to the house. But it wasn't the cold museum anymore. Amale had slowly transformed it, adding color and warmth and life. The kitchen was actually used now, usually messy from Baeom's cooking experiments. The living room had comfortable furniture instead of showpieces. The house was finally a home. So, Amale said, kicking off her shoes in the bedroom they now shared. You're still a mafia boss. Technically a CEO with strong organizational ties, but yes. And you're not planning to leave that life. No, it's who I am. But I'm working on making it cleaner, more legitimate, for Baeom's future. I can accept that, as long as you keep being honest with me. Always. No more lies, remember? That was the deal. Good. Amale kissed him. Because I didn't sign up for boring. A waitress married to a mafia boss who's actually trying to do better. That's a story worth living. Even if it's complicated. Especially because it's complicated. If this story touched your heart, made you believe in second chances, or just entertained you for the last hour, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel. Hit that like button. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next story.